Minister of Defence Mohammed Badaru has reaffirmed the federal government's commitment to resolving the ongoing farmer-herder clashes in Plateau State. Speaking in Jos during a meeting with opinion leaders, traditional rulers and security agencies, Badaru expressed deep concern over the continued violence despite efforts to address the issue. The meeting took place at a 3-division headquarters in Bassa Local Government Area. Badaru warned against partitioning communities along ethnic or religious lines, describing such division as disastrous. He emphasized the need for harmonious coexistence and vowed that the government would not entertain demands for segregation. Now to discuss this, we're joined by the National President of the Birom Youths Mold Association, Solomon Nwantiri. Solomon, you're welcome. Good afternoon. Good to have you here.
Yeah, it's my pleasure to be here. Yeah. Good afternoon.
Thank you. Now, what underlying factors contributes to the escalation of farmers-herders clashes in Plateau State, and how can these be systematically addressed?
Oh, of course. It is based on available authority that the renewal of violence eruption in the state has engulfed so many lives in the recent times, especially around Bokos, Barikiladi, and Riom, local government areas in the state. And of course, communities, stakeholders have raised, concerned that what is informing these incessant attacks on villages and communities, and as well as incident of cattle rustling, is purely, act of terrorism. And also the merchants of crisis have risen up again, because over time we've had relative peace. But of course, now that people are about harvesting their farm crops, this is the time now the herders have come in again, harvesting people's crop, ambushing people, harassing and threatening them, and then also issue of kidnapping has also been, witnessed in the recent times. And then, of course, we've also seen counter reactions from the native communities having been attacked, having been killed, of course, also coming to attack, cattle that are being raided. So these are basically the major factors that have been playing out in the recent time. For instance, just the night before yesterday, in Tahos community of Riom local government, communities went overnight, and herders, suspected Fulani headmen went overnight and grazed and also harvested not less than 60 farm lands. And so when the people went yesterday to harvest their crops, they discovered that everything has been harvested. And then the remaining part have been grazed upon overnight. So these are actually the factors that are really, causing the renewal of attacks on the plateau. And of course, the way forward as a person and also as a frontline advocate is one, there should be ban on open grazing. It will help, issue of mischievous grazing, willful destruction of farm crops, using of underage children, and other, factors that have been playing out when it comes to destruction of farm crops. And it will also, cut down the exposure of these, animals to cattle rustlers. Because hardly will you ever hear that, cattle have been rustled at their base, at where they've been housed overnight. But it's only when they've been, been grazed, moving about, that is when the cattle rustlers, have the opportunity to rustle them. So this one calls for ban on open grazing in the state, just as we have it in, Benue State. Even though coming of that legislation in Benue did not actually cut down the incident of, attacks and counterattacks. But of course, to some extent, it has reduced drastically the tendencies of rustling cows, destruction of farm crops, and what have you. So I think if the government is able to rise up to the occasion, to bring about this legislation on the plateau, it will be of immense help.
All right, well, Solomon, I hear you with that suggestion regarding the government, but what about the traditional rulers? What role do they play in this regard when it comes to promoting peace?
Of course, the traditional rulers have been the ones at the grassroots, whether we like it or not. And of course, from what I have witnessed, there are a good number of them that are contributing immensely towards, sustenance of peace and stability in the state. because I've witnessed incidences around Fan area where traditional rulers have fished out, bad elements among themselves and surrendered same to the appropriate authority for disciplinary measures. So it therefore means traditional rulers are key stakeholders in bringing about peace on the plateau and in Nigeria at large. And I want to believe that is the reason why the minister deemed it fit and wise to have the stakeholders engagement, including traditional rulers, to also, project a way forward. And so traditional rulers have been of immense, even though there are traditional rulers from other extractions that have been fingered in the promotion of this banditry and terrorism, that we are witnessing today. And some of them have been arrested, but of course, after arrest, we see them moving around, and then becoming more emboldened, as if they've been encouraged to continue with any form of terrorism, in the state. So we are still calling that there should be, more state and more engagement, particularly on the side of the traditional